In this video, I'll cover how to write Essay 5, which is going to be on cultural reflections. So the syllabus gives you 5 prompts to choose from, and you can find the prompts on pages 11 through 12 in the syllabus, as well as more information. But the 5 prompts are: 1, are spectator sports overemphasized in the United States? 2, in general, do movies and or television programs provide a realistic picture of life in America? 3, are shopping malls a representation of American culture? 4, are spectator sports in America collectively a micro-representation of American culture? Or lastly, explain why a famous person is so popular. Now, one note for this last one, be careful and make sure that you are explaining why this person may be popular. So, for example, if you write about Donald Trump, don't use because he is president as a reason. Instead, ask yourself what made him popular enough to run for president. So you're looking for what caused the person to become popular, not necessarily the result of their popularity. So to get you started for brainstorming, I would focus in on one of those prompts that interests you the most. And then from that prompt, complete the following statement, which is basically turning the question into a statement and then adding because. And doing this will help you generate ideas for what you would write about. So if you want to do the first topic, which would be the question of, are spectator sports overemphasized in the United States? You would complete the statement, spectator sports are overemphasized in the United States because blank. So, and we'd continue for the other ones. For 2, movie television programs do or do not provide a realistic picture of life in America, depending what your position is. Maybe you agree with that statement or you disagree with it. So for shopping malls, maybe you want to say they are a representation of American culture because blank. If you don't think they are a representation of American culture, you would say shopping malls are not a representation of American culture because of blank. So the same for spectator sports are or are not a micro-representation of American culture because blank. And lastly, so-and-so has become popular because of their blank. So from there, you're going to take your because statement and list 3 reasons why you think that statement is true. So you may want to pause the video for a little bit and come up with 3 reasons and then come back. So now that you have your 3 reasons, double check them and make sure these reasons help explain your answer for maybe why spectator sports are overemphasized in the United States. So make sure that it addresses what you are trying to prove in your prompt. Now for your audience, for this paper, you're really trying to convince someone to agree with you. So imagine that you're writing this paper for someone who doesn't agree with you at the moment. Maybe they're indifferent to this topic or they have an opposing view, but your goal is to basically educate them and get them to consider your position as valid or to consider it as the truthful and correct position. So you may want to consider what type of evidence would be the most persuasive for your audience and see if that evidence maybe aligns with the 3 reasons you've given. And if not, maybe you want to swap out one of the reasons you brainstormed and add in a different reason. So lastly, the parts of our essay, there are 3 parts that you know. We have the introduction, the 3 body paragraphs, and conclusion. So for the intro, you should still be using one of the approaches we learned about in chapter 6 in our textbook. You need to have a thesis and you need to have a plan of development. For the body paragraphs, you should have transitions between your paragraphs and between ideas, and each body paragraph should have a clear topic sentence, focus on one idea, have support, and explain the support. And then for the conclusion, remember to not introduce a new idea. You need to restate your thesis, summarize the main points of your paper, and restate the purpose for your argument. And you can find more video resources for doing each of these on YouTube by looking at the debatable thesis video, the meal plan video, or how to write a conclusion video. So the conclusion, to talk a little bit more about this, you should review chapter 12 in our textbook or go to the video how to write a conclusion. But remember, there are 5 things that I recommend each conclusion has. And in order, they are a transition that lets your reader know that this is your conclusion. Usually it's introduced by the statement in conclusion or finally. or any other ones would work as well. You could say lastly is another one. Uh, 2, restate your thesis in different words. This means do not copy and paste your thesis sentence from your introduction, but rewrite it differently and put it in your conclusion. 3rd, summarize the main points of your paper. So maybe summarize each of your body paragraphs in one sentence in your paper. And then 4, explain the significance of what you've covered in your paper. So what was the purpose of your argument? Why is your answer important? And then lastly, which is optional, you can give your final thought on the argument of your paper, or maybe issue a call to action. So for the final thought, this should not be a new idea per se in your paper, but it should definitely be related to what you've already said. As for a call to action, this is a statement that kind of prompts the reader to think, do, or believe something different from when they first started reading your paper. So you're kind of asking them to change their mind or to change their behavior in some way. All right, lastly, finishing up, make sure to read through your paper and add in your transition words. Those should go between paragraphs and between the ideas within your paragraphs. You can find those transitions, words, and phrases on pages 278 through 79 and then 289 in your textbook. You can also consult the template for introducing and explaining examples. That's under week 4. So check and review your APA formatting. Make sure you format the abstract correctly. And then remember to proofread through your paper and follow the strategies that I gave you in the proofreading strategies video. And then your code word for this video is ELF.